Welcome back to Faith Formation at Home. This week our gospel deals with faith the size of a mustard seed, is the illustration that Jesus uses. Now, I had a mustard seed I was going to try to show you on camera here. It was in this tiny little jar, and I pulled it out to figure out, can you see it better if I had it out of the jar, and I lost it. Right? A mustard seed is so small that it's easy enough to lose just like that. So I can't show you a mustard seed, but if you look inside a printed book, look at a period at the end of a sentence, that is about the size of a mustard seed. And so Jesus is talking about, the apostles asked Jesus to increase their faith, and Jesus says this tiny amount of faith is enough to do crazy awesome things like move a mountain. Now, what is faith in the first place? Faith is not this caricature that we have where we just blindly believe something that someone says, or we blindly believe the tenets of the faith, or we blindly believe this or that or the other thing. No, faith is a reasonable confidence in something that we don't necessarily have proof for, right? It's trusting in someone else, in God. Religious faith is trusting in God. Now here's the thing. God is truth himself, truth itself. God is worthy of belief. So whatever God says cannot be a lie. Whatever God says is true, even if it doesn't make sense to me. I should try to understand it as best I can, but ultimately if God said it, it is true, right? This piece of bread that Father says some words over at Mass is all of a sudden God. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But if Jesus said it's true, it has to be true because he's truth itself, right? If Jesus is God, Jesus is truth itself. Whatever he says is true. And so faith is trust and confidence in God and in what he has told us is true, right? And so Jesus is saying, if you can just do a little bit of that, if you can just believe me a little bit and believe what I'm telling you, even if it doesn't make any sense, I tell you, you're going to be able to do crazy things like move mountains. Now, the second part of the gospel moves on to make a slightly different point, right? Faith is our response to God, right? It's us trusting God, but it's also a gift that God gives to us, right? Faith is a theological virtue. It's something that's infused in us at baptism, and in fact, it comes before baptism, right? In order for us to say, yes, I believe in you, God, God has to give us that grace of faith. So faith comes from God and from us, comes from God first, comes from us second, right? And so that second bit about, a servant who comes in and all that business, right? Jesus is trying to make the point that we can't expect congratulations from God on our response in faith, right? Sometimes God may pat us on the back for that, but ultimately, when we respond in faith, we're just doing what we're supposed to do, right? We should just trust God because he is God and because he is true.